We start with a live look of Snoqualmie Pass at this hour, where conditions pretty snowy right now, kind of difficult to see in the darkness. If the forecast pans out, we could wake up to a similar scene in Spokane tomorrow. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 11. I'm Mark Hanrahan. With snow and ice already on the ground, driving conditions could be especially difficult tomorrow morning. Before we get to that, let's get straight to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in the Outdoor Weather Center. Thomas, what are the latest forecast models showing and how much snow are we expecting?
Yeah, well, actually, Mark, it just started to snow here in Spokane. It's very light, but we are expecting this to pick up in a big way during the overnight hours. And by tomorrow morning, Spokane could see about 3 to 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it won't stop there either. That is why we have winter storm warnings in effect for the entirety of the inland Northwest, with snowfall totals ranging from 3 to 4 inches at the low end, upwards of a foot of snow, especially in some of our North Idaho valleys and near those mountain passes. Here's Moses Lake, the I-90 area. Look at this lane. You can hardly even see any kind of lanes or tire tracks. So as the snow continues to fall, it is just going to pile up and make those conditions, especially for traveling, very difficult and outright dangerous all through the night and into tomorrow morning. Here's our weather system that is moving through. It looks like it's just about to begin here in Spokane with the heaviest snow so far in central Washington.
All right, Thomas, thank you very much. Now, for some context, it's been a while since we've seen a really significant snowfall. A little more than a year ago, 8 inches of snow fell in Spokane in a single day. KREM 2's Janelle Finch is live tonight to tell us more about the last time our area saw that record-breaking amount of snow. Janelle?
Mark, it was December 30th, 2020 when we saw 8.1 inches of snowfall on a single day. On that day in December, we saw a jackknife semi-truck that blocked off I-90 for hours and Snoqualmie Pass closures. Snowplows, power companies, and schools are all watching for the snow tomorrow to come in similar amounts. Today, plows were getting ahead of the incoming snow by clearing off current roads. Tomorrow's weather will come as snow with freezing rain to follow in some areas, which means slower travel times and cars potentially going off roads. If and when the city activates a full city plow, you can monitor when your street will be cleared. The city has a plow progress map. This is the map from their last full city plow. Purple means crews are working or monitoring that particular street. Green means complete, blue means working, and red means next. Now, when it snows, the city asks that you park on the odd side of the rows to allow for plows to come through and clear those streets. In addition to that, in downtown Spokane, on-street parking is prohibited from midnight to 6 a.m., again, to allow for those plows to come through. In Spokane, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
Good information, Janelle. Thank you very much. WashDOT says traveling over the passes in the next 24 hours will be extremely difficult, especially all the mountain passes from Washington to Idaho. Thomas, let's go back out to you once again in the Outdoor Weather Center. If you do have to drive one of our mountain passes tomorrow, are there any windows where it looks like it'll be at least okay?
Unfortunately not, Mark. Really, any kind of traveling over the mountain passes needs to be strictly an emergency case. Otherwise, you should be postponing, because we've seen a lot of road closures recently over the passes due to heavy snowfall, low visibility, or too many accidents. Honestly, could see that once again for tomorrow. The mountain passes will generally get between 12 to 18 inches on Snoqualmie Pass. Could be as much as 40 inches on Stevens Pass. And it's not just the passes. The eastern slopes of the Cascades, even Ellensburg, 8 to 12 inches before you even start climbing those mountains. So obviously this is a tremendous snowfall event that's moving through the area. Here are some of the live pictures that you see across those mountain passes. And for Thursday, that snow actually changes over to rain. And while that might sound like good news, it's not going to clear up the snow immediately. In fact, it actually creates avalanche danger, and there's already a planned closure for Stevens Pass at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning for avalanche control. So always make sure to check on those pass conditions before you leave, and really, you got to postpone those plans if you can for tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, good advice, Thomas. Thank you very much. And if you're planning to fly out of Spokane soon, you might want to check your flight status. Right now, several flights are delayed and canceled. Spokane International Airport tweeted this photo today, warning that the incoming snow could impact flight operations. They suggest that you give yourself more time to get to the airport and to check flight information at that link right there at the bottom of your screen. You can also find it on krem.com. All right, here are 3 things you need to know ahead of tomorrow's storm. As you know, Spokane is built all around hills, and here are some tips to help you tackle them tomorrow. If you have the choice to avoid hills, You should. But if you must take the hills, be confident in your approach, experts say. Start with a bit of acceleration before you reach the hill, and don't try to power up it once you're on the hill. If you press the gas too hard, you'll just spin your wheels, right? The biggest takeaway, make sure you have enough initial speed, otherwise you likely won't get up that hill. And if you have Christmas trees or other yard waste that needs to be picked up in Spokane County, Spokane Valley, Deer Park, Airway Heights, or Liberty Lake, you might have to store it for a little bit longer. Waste Management Northwest is operating in what they call recovery mode, which means there will be no yard waste collection this week, they said. In Spokane County, road crews also prepping for the coming storm. De-icer being laid down tonight, and crews will work around the clock. The Spokane City Streets Department is expecting it will have to shift to a full 24/7 full city plow. That happens once there are 4 inches of snow on the ground. And that means the crew will move to 24/7 operations with the goal of completing that full city plow in about 3 days. Street Department Director Clint Harris says this winter has been challenging for crews so far this season. He says this has depleted the city's supply of salt and sand much earlier than usual.
Normally we've got kind of a balance of temperatures that range. This year with the extreme cold, the range has been much colder, which limits the tools that we use to being more granular salt and sand.
Harris says they do have enough supply to treat the roads. Once crews head out, they'll start plowing priority areas such as arterials first. Then they'll move on to those hills. Looking across the border to Idaho, Coeur d'Alene getting their plows ready for the heavy snow. They started earlier today by checking all their equipment and putting out a de-icer on the roads to melt any ice that might be there already. In Coeur d'Alene, they start plowing at 3 inches, and they are planning to activate their full city plow for the snow that is forecasted. Crews are asking people to avoid parking on the street, give those plows plenty of room, and make sure that you give yourself time to get to where you need to go without rushing, they say. And we want to make sure you are up to date with what you need to know about what could be the biggest snow event so far this season. So for an hour-by-hour forecast, school closures, and delays, just text us the word snow to 509-448-2000. Also join us tomorrow morning for Up with Krem. We'll bring you the latest coverage of that snow's impact to our area. All right, coming up after the break, police reform laws that were passed this last year could get changed again. What Washington State Republicans are saying about the laws. And a little later in the broadcast, we'll take a closer look at the mountain passes and another reason they could be hazardous. Stay with us. We're back after a quick break.